please.
Okay, sir. Sir, John actually is from Kerala.
Okay.
So he is doing his own business. I think a few months back he has started his own business. That is a software
What
development.
business is it, Ramesh?
Software development, sir.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Yeah.
And Raj, that is Pushparaj, actually he is a programmer in Ansible. So he also helping us, and he want to be an entrepreneur also. Something he's having some fashion to do something. And Rajesh Kumar, he is a middleware actually. He is doing WebSphere, WebLogic like that. So he is in development side, and he wants to help us also. He is having some passion to become something.
Okay, excellent.
One more guy also will join. I think Uday. He was worked with Axel ICIM, but he is an already entrepreneur and is doing own business. But he's supposed to join in few minutes. I don't know, sir.
Yeah, no, not a problem, not a problem. So, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining. Thank you for sparing your time. Since the Zoom meeting is for 45 minutes max, I'll take 30 minutes. I'll start off. Okay, this topic is called Small Business Essentials. Small Business Essentials. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen? It's called Recruitment Essentials. Can everybody see?
Yes,
yes.
Excellent, excellent. So each screen, we'll have 5 screens, and each screen will have 7 points. Can you see the 7 steps?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So let's say you're recruiting somebody for your organization. I believe that these 7 steps are important for you. One is you should treat the candidate with respect and hospitality. That's very important. It can be a Zoom call, it can be face to face, it might be on the road, you are, let's say, having tea with the candidate, but whatever it is, even though you are the boss and you are the employer, you should treat the candidate with respect and hospitality. It will only help your business, it will build your credibility, it will help you get other candidates who want to join your business. Okay, that's the first point. Then second point is use social media and attend industry related meetups. So put out your recruitment ad in social media, tell your groups, tell your friends, go for industry related meetups. In industry related meetups, you will get that kind of profile of candidate that you want. Okay, if you go for a job fair, you will get freshers. If you go for a industry related meetup, you will get that kind of profile. And from there, you can shortlist your candidates. Implement an employee referral program. Supposing you're already running a small business or a business, you will have certain employees. You can ask them to get their contacts and ask them to apply for a job. It will be easier for you because those are trusted sources. You already know the current person, and from his contacts, he's going to refer and send somebody to you. Reference is always important. Okay. Then create specific job description. So create job description means don't take the candidate and just say, okay, wait over here, go see this person, go see that person, etc. Even before you offer the job, you should create a job description. I'm going to take this candidate. What all is he going to do? Let's say, for example, you're taking even only an office boy. Office boy, what will be the 3 or 4 tasks per day? He'll get coffee, he'll come to the office, he'll open the office, he'll switch on the computers, various tasks like that. So put that so that when he comes, immediately he's doing those specific tasks. And then you can add, modify, and delete that job description later. Okay, you can expand it, you can contract it, and so on as per your requirement. Then use the company website. You can also advertise on your company website saying that these openings are available and they can join. Yeah. Then include peers in the interview process. This is very important. For example, if I am recruiting a faculty, I will ask Mr. Elangeline to be part of the interview process, because he is also at present now a specialist faculty. So he will have certain traits or quality that he wants from the candidate. So I will give round one to Mr. Elangeline, take his input. Then I will take the input maybe from Mr. Srinivas or Mr. Ramesh. Finally, I will also take a decision, provided I am the owner of the company, right? That is what I mean by include peers in the interview process. And the last point for recruitment is probe on education, family, skills, and team player qualities. This last point is very important. For example, education, 10 standard marks, 12 standard marks, degree marks. You should have a very deep conversation on those three certificates. Okay, for example, what were your marks in 10th standard? Which are the subjects you did well? Which are the subjects that you didn't do well? What are the reasons you did well? What are the reasons you did not do well? Okay, so when you keep asking these questions, you will get a very good profile of the candidate. It's important that you understand the candidate comprehensively and in depth. So you should probe on the education. Then family. Family is also very important. What's his father doing? What's his mother doing? What are his brothers and sisters doing? How many brothers and sisters does he have? Which position is he in the family? Is he the eldest? Is he in the middle? Is he the youngest? All that is also very important. It will help you choose the candidate properly. Okay, family. Then skills, of course. If you're recruiting a faculty, he should know, he should have certain international certifications. He should know how to speak to a crowd. He should have conducted perhaps Zoom meeting, so on. Skills, right? And then team player qualities. Team player qualities is also very important, because even if he's an outstanding candidate, if he does not gel with the rest of the group, then he's only going to he's going to spoil the tempo of the group. You are taking like-minded people in your company, or even if they're not like-minded in the beginning, those who are willing to fit into the culture of your company. So that kind of candidate you should take. Okay, so you should also look for the team player qualities. So the last point is probe on education, family, skills, and team player qualities. Fine. Now with this, we have finished the recruitment essentials. I'm going to the next portion. Okay. Can you see planning essentials on the screen?
Sir,
Not actually.
I think in your slide only 2 slides are there. One is recruitment essential and one is 7 steps. There is no other sites are available.
Yeah, one sec. Yeah, one sec. Okay, now can you see planning essentials?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
okay. Thank you. Right. So I'll go into the second portion, that is planning essentials. I'm going to the slide. Can you see the 7 points of planning?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah. So make annual business plans the basis for execution. That means you should have a plan which is for 12 months. You can start for the financial year, 1st April to 31st March, or you can follow the calendar year, 1st January to 31st December. You should plan in advance. Now, if you're an existing business, that is pretty easy because you have last year's numbers. But if you are a new business, for the new business in your first year, you will make assumptions. Got it?
Yes.
Then most important is now, for example, I'll give the example with Ramesh's team. Let's say Ramesh has 3 people. The second point is prepare individual plans which will dovetail into the master plan. So Srinivas will have a separate annual business plan. Ilanjalian will have a separate annual business plan, and Ramesh will have the company plan or the master plan. And Ilanjalian's plan and also Mr. Srinivas's plan will be a subset of the plan. Okay, it will be a subset of the master plan which Ramesh has. So if you say 100 units is the plan which Ramesh has for the company, he will take responsibility maybe for 30 units. Ilanjalan will take responsibility for 30 units, and Srinivas will take the responsibility for 40 units. So you'll have the master plan for 100 units, and then you'll have the individual plan 30 plus 30 plus 40. That is what I mean by prepare individual plans which will dovetail into the master plan. Okay. Yeah. Then plan should reflect yearly, quarterly, monthly, weekly, and daily numbers. Okay, so the plan is for 12 months. From 12 months, you should be able to divide it into 4 quarters. April, May, June is 1 quarter. June, July, August. July, August, September is 1 quarter. October, November, December, 3rd quarter. Now, January, February, March is the 4th quarter. So, quarterly plan you should have. Then you should have monthly plan. Monthly plan is per month. For example, now running month is September. You should have got the plan ready by 1st of September, how you're going to do the month of September. Then weekly plan. In the month of September, you'll have normally 4 weeks. What is the weekly plan? And finally, the daily number. Okay, so you should reduce your 12 months plan into a daily number, and they should know what is the daily number. Once you know the daily number, then you know if the person knows the daily number, it is easy for him to multiply into 7, get the weekly number, multiply into 30, get the monthly number, multiply into 90, get the quarterly number, or multiply into 365 and get the yearly number. Okay. Okay. The plan should incorporate a mix of reality and future desired outcome. So if I'm talking to, let's say, Srinivas, and I say, Srinivas, last year we did 100 units. How many units shall we do this year? So he says, sir, I can do 10 units more, 110 units. I might say, no, Srinivas, easily we can do 130 units. So now there is a gap between Srinivas's plan and my plan of 20 units. When you sit with Srinivas, you make a plan for 110 units. You show the gap of 20 units separately. Okay, and you say, Srinivas, don't worry about the balance 20 units. We'll put it into your plan. Okay, and show that in the separate line, the 20 units spread over 12 months. When you do that, what will happen? Over a period of time, when Srinivas sees, let's say, he didn't do 10 units, he did maybe 115 units. He didn't do 130. His confidence will be, I said I will do 10 units, but I actually did 15 units. So next year, I can do 15%. This is how you improve the employee. Okay, in the beginning, the employee might not have the confidence to do the plan that you have for him, but slowly his confidence will be built up if you show him the reality. So that is what I mean. The reality and the future discard. The reality for Srinivas is 10 units, which is 110, but the future desired outcome is 130. So you will make a plan for 130. The top line, first line will be 110 units, which is the reality for Srinivas. The 20 units he cannot see, that's not a problem. That 20 units you're going to show in a separate line, which will help him plan better at the end of 1 year. Okay. Okay. Plan should leverage employee observation and expertise. So what do I mean by this? I'll have to take the input from Elangeline and say, okay, Elangeline, what is your last year's observation? Where do you think we need to improve? What do you think we need to do? Similarly from Srinivas, similarly from Ramesh. I should take the input maximum from the current employees or current team members so that I can get the maximum benefit. They would have noticed certain plus points and certain minus points. The plus points have to be magnified. The minus points should be minimized. You cannot remove the minus points completely, but you should minimize them. Okay, so that is the meaning of plan should leverage employee observation and expertise. And plan should be conscious of the 10% deviation rule. This is very important. So in that 130 units, if I divide it by 12, I will get approximately 11 units. Okay. So 11 units per month, if I take 10% of 11 is how much? Approximately 1.1. Supposing for that month I have deviated by 2 units or 3 units, it's very difficult to recover. Okay. Whereas if you deviate only by 10% for the month, then you will recover that 10%. That 10% you can recover. If you, for example, have a deviation greater than 10%, then what will happen is you will find that it is difficult to recover for the next month, because the next month you have the load of the regular 11.1 units plus the old month's shortfall. Have you understood? So over a period of time, the team should become very good at projecting and meeting the plan. Okay. So you should tell people about the deviation of 10% and why beyond 10% it is not easy to recover. Okay, then plan of course should differentiate between billing and cash collections. Okay, so billing your number will be higher, cash collection your number will be lower. Your plan should be based, as I said, on reality. Reality is the amount of money that is available in your bank account. It is not based on what you bill. So you should go by the, you should one differentiate between billing and cash collections, and all your decisions should be based majorly on the cash collection. Okay, so I finished planning. I'm going to the next set. Okay, can you see I have put a slide called how to create a culture of encouragement. Can you see, please?
Yes,
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm just confirming. This is the third portion. So third portion, I come to the slide, 7 steps. Okay, can you see the second slide, 7 steps?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. So the first point is discover needs and concerns. How do I encourage an employee? I should know the employee's need and his concern. What are his needs? If he's a bachelor, he might say, I want to buy a bike. If he's a married person, he might be thinking of investing in a house or a car, or he might want to go to a foreign country, whatever. So they will have certain dreams or aspiration or goal. You should know what that particular need and aspiration and goal of your employee. So you should discover the need. Also is concern. Okay, many times in a corporate environment, the person is not worried about the concern of the employee, is only worried about what the employee can do for him. Okay, so I'm saying you should concentrate on the concern. What are his genuine difficulties? How will you help the person overcome his difficulties? If you want to run a successful organization, You as the entrepreneur, you as the leader should be invested in the success of your team. Only if your team is successful will you become successful. Only if your employee is successful, you will become successful. So for that, the genuine concern or the genuine difficulty should be understood by you, and you should be a problem solver. You should be able to solve that problem. When you are in a position to solve that problem, then the employee will trust you further and come to you for various issues. Have you understood? Work will become something which he enjoys because he knows that if he comes to you, he'll solve the problem. You will solve the problem. But if you don't solve the problem and you just say, I want results, I want results, I want results, at a certain stage, the employee will get frustrated. He might look for changing and leaving your team. Okay. Yeah, then offer coaching on specific areas. So since you are the person, you might have certain skills. Those skills you can pass on to your that particular person. Or for example, if I am running a computer training institute, I'll ask Elangeline, I don't know anything about technical, I don't know anything about computer courses. So I'll tell Elangeline, okay, this person is there. Why don't you train him on Unix? Why don't you train him on Linux? Why don't you train him on Windows? Right? So the specific coaching that is required for the employee so that he can contribute further for your company's growth, you should be in a position to give him coaching. Okay. When you invest in the employee will like that. I make an investment in you, you will like that. Similarly, you should be in a position to invest in the other person. Okay, that is how you encourage your employees. Point number 2. Okay. Point number 3, recognize achievement and contribution. So you can have maybe a yearly incentive, monthly incentive, quarterly incentive, employee of the month, whatever. Okay, that is the meaning of recognizing achievement and contribution. Even if you don't have let's say cash incentives, at least you should be in a position to tell the employee, I value your contribution, this you've done for me. Because of all this, my company is growing. You should recognize, you should praise your employee for his achievement or contribution. Okay. Yeah. 4th point, recruit people who are mood enhancers. That means what? For example, if you look at a team, maybe 2 or 3 people are quiet people. That's fine. Okay. But to lift the team, you might need a person who's a jovial person, who's a joking person. When he comes into the office itself, there'll be some noise and some jokes. And because of that, you will find that the other team members are sort of laughing and joking. Okay. So if you can bring that kind of person into your team, it will help, because whenever that person visits your office or is part of the group, he's going to lift the mood of everybody else. Therefore, everybody else will get encouragement. Okay, that is the meaning of recruiting people who are mood enhancers. Your mood is changed because of the other person. Give challenging assignments. So let's say I'm again taking the example of Mr. Srinivas. He's saying, sir, I can do only 110 units. I say, no, Mr. Srinivas, that's fine. That's what you see. But I want you to do 130 units. And you should explain the reasons why you are confident that he can do 130 units. Even if he says, no, sir, despite this, I'm seeing only 110 units. You say, no problem. Let's see how this 1 year goes. Okay, that's what I said in terms of making the second line for 20 units. And throughout the year, you and he are going to see what is going to happen in that 20 units. Right? So if he does that 5 units in a place where he says, I cannot do, 110 plus 5 is 115 units. Okay, so he has done 115 units. He has done more than what he has said. He realizes that he can take on greater challenges, though he might not have done 130. Slowly, you will build the capacity or the capability of that person, and he will be able to do bigger assignments. Hand holding in the beginning, at a certain portion, you should be able to decentralize and give them bigger assignments. Okay, only when your employees grow will your company grow. Okay, inject fun at work. Inject fun at work is, it should be an informal kind of structure. It should not be a formal structure. You are the owner, you are the boss, that's fine, but you must have fun at work. So you can, you know, perhaps meet in a particular hotel together or go to a particular location together, whatever. You should bring in the fun element at work. Then work-life balance. Okay, today work-life balance is automatic because you're working from home. But let's assume there was no COVID. The person will only be sitting in the office and working nearly every single day, right? So when you bring in flexibility and say, fine, as long as you meet these deadlines, whether you come to the office or you don't come, okay, or you don't come to the office, it doesn't matter. You sit at home. So what will happen? He can do his personal work. He can perhaps suddenly take his, some family member to the hospital. He can take care of various other things. He's doing his work. He's contributing. As long as he does that, you should be appreciative of that person, and therefore you will promote the work-life balance. It can't be only work, work, work. Okay, work is very important. He's your employee, but you must promote work-life balance. All right, I finished this section. I'm going to the next section. Can you see ethics essentials?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So 7 steps for ethics. Okay. Yeah, normally, when we talk about ethics, people say ethics are not important because we will just manage in any way we want. Okay. But what you need to realize is ethical behavior is a competitive advantage. If your reputation is not good in the market and people don't trust you because of the actions of 1 or 2 of your team members, then what will happen? Your credibility will be affected. So if you go to a good hotel or you go to a good movie theater or you go to a good car dealership or bike dealership or any business that you deal with, why do you go? Person is giving you value for money. More importantly, when you have a problem with his product or service, he's saying, okay, fine, it's not just money. I will give you a replacement, or I'll come and repair it for you, or I'll come and give this extra service for you, right? So ethical behavior is a competitive advantage for you. And therefore, ethics are very, very important for your institution or organization. Recruit ethical people. So in recruitment essentials, you will recognize whether this person is trustworthy more than his job skill and his education skill and all other skills that he brings. Is he trustworthy? It's more, according to me, it is much better to take trustworthy people than talented people. Talented people might take your organization to a very high level of growth, but at some point, their actions are going to hurt you very badly. Okay, so recruit ethical people, then draw up an ethical code. What is an ethical code? For example, if you go to a Rotary Club, they'll show in the entrance itself some 4 points and say, okay, all our decisions are based on these 4 codes or these 4 points. So you should have an informal code saying, when we are in the team, when we are in the company, this is how we'll behave. This is how we will handle the situation. This is how we'll take care. You're not going to be perfect, but you should start with the code. And as the events keep coming into your company, you should fine tune your code so that it becomes better and better. Yeah. Okay, then you should train on ethics. Your employee is not going to immediately implement your ethical code. Like everything, you need to train that person on ethics. He might be doing something wrong without really meaning it. So you should call him offline and tell him, this is how we behave, this is how we do the things over here. So training on ethics is important. Then most important is respect employee differences. We come from different background, we come from different culture, we come from different educational qualification. So we will have differences. Okay, you should respect that person's difference, that he is different from you. He looks at the world differently from you. His thinking is different from you. And gently bring him to your point. Okay, there is no use getting angry with him immediately and saying, he's not listening to whatever I say. Have you got it? You have to give him a reason as to why it is important for him to listen to you. And most importantly, if your actions and requirements and requests are ethical, he'll find it very difficult to say no. Okay, so that is how, if your foundation of your conduct and your decisions and everything that you do in the company is based on ethics, it's easier to get work done by your employees. Because if he doesn't do the work, you ask him, why are you not doing the work? I've not asked you for anything favor. I've just asked you to do the job. There's nothing wrong in what I've asked you. Yeah. So respect employee differences. Empower ethical people. Once you know that this person can be trusted, even if he makes mistakes, you should give him the freedom and say, okay, I'm trusting you. You should do this. Don't let me down. I'm empowering you. Okay. I'm leaving it to you. At the end of it, he might not meet your level of expectation, but you should empower. Nobody wants to be supervised throughout his or her life. What is it that you and I want mostly? We want freedom. We don't want people to say, do this, do that, do this, do that. In the beginning, just to understand a concept, you can train. For that, you will have a certain degree of control. But as fast as possible, you should be able to run a decentralized organization or a decentralized unit, not a centralized unit. Centralized unit, when the person feels that the freedom is being taken away, he'll leave. Today, in social media, everything is known about everybody. Have you understood? So nobody's going to listen. They want their freedom. They want, let's say, you just to give them what is the job I should do. I'll do the job. I'll disappear. And because of COVID, there's no question of going to a particular location and supervising the work. Our movement is also restricted. You have to decentralize. So you have to train through Zoom meetings, decentralize, get him to do the job, and then come back. Yeah. Okay. Then encourage ethical leadership, work goals, and performance appraisal. So the whole thing is based on ethics, right? Okay, I come to my last slide, which is how to nurture with patience. Okay, you should nurture. What is the meaning of the word nurture? Nurture means like a mother. A father might be strict and get angry, but a mother, what does the mother treat the child? The mother nurtures the child. Whether the child makes mistakes or not, the mother will go on defending the child. The mother is always the nurturing component in a family. So we should have the capability of nurturing our employees and our team members with patience. Okay, let's look at the points in that. Okay, so can you see the 7 steps?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, sure. 7. Invest in training, teaching, and learning. Okay. If you look at a class, you think of your class in your school. Which teacher did you like? Did you like the teacher who was intelligent, or did you like the teacher who made you understand the subject? Okay, intelligent teacher will come and finish the portions, and only the top, supposing there are 50 members in the class, the top 5 people will understand the portions, they will score their high marks. That is because they are intelligent. But you should be able to cater. A good teacher will cater to the balance 45 who find the subject difficult, and will make the balance 45 successful. Making the first 5 ranks in a classroom is very easy. They'll anyway become successful whether you teach them or not. But how do I make the weakest person successful? That is very important, right? So invest in training, teaching, and learning. That's very important. Okay, invest in specific tasks for each employee. That means he shouldn't be for everything. You call the guy, you say, okay, fine, now for some days you be in sales. Okay, the person has not come, you take class, and then something else, maybe some other component. You should be very clear about the task. You should discuss those tasks during the time of the recruitment and then bring him there and he should be doing only those tasks. It doesn't mean only that will be given to him. You can make an exception when there is an emergency, but largely there should be specific tasks. And then you should consistently monitor the person for those specific tasks. Okay, so invest in specific tasks for each employee. Many times, maybe a software company will just say, we'll take some people and put them on the bench. Okay, that's how they get frustration, and that's how they'll also poison the environment. When you don't have any work to do, then you start going and disturbing other people. You start getting involved in mischievous acts and so on. So when a specific task is there, we have 8 hours in a day. 8 hours in a day means person can do 2 or 3 tasks per day. Okay, so 3 important tasks you give him. Every day you need to do these 3 things. You've done these 3 major things, that is good. And choose those 3 tasks which will give the institution or firm maximum returns. You should choose that and say, okay, do these 3 tasks. So he might have 10 tasks for the day. As long as he's done the 3 important tasks for the day, that is enough. Yeah. Invest in monitoring. You monitor that, not to take his freedom away, but you should have perhaps once a week or once in 2 weeks. That depends on the maturity of the employee. Discover individual goals and aspirations. In a previous slide also, I said that. Find out what his individual goal and aspiration is and help him reach that particular goal. You might not be able to, if he says, I want to buy a house, you cannot give him the funds for the whole house, but at least you will help him gain certain amount of money that will help him come closer to owning a house. Exercise patience despite slow results. Okay, so be like a mother. Listen and communicate. Most important thing for a leader is not giving rules. It is the ability to listen. How can I help you? How can I train you? How can I solve your problem? That should be the hallmark of a leader, not giving the commands. Anybody can give command. Okay, so listening to the employee is very important. These two, in this whole presentation I'm making, just this one point, if you observe it, is more than enough. Will you listen better and will you communicate? Leaders require these 2 simple points. And if you have these 2 simple points, you will be in a position to be a good leader. Listen and communicate, flexible work hours. Okay. Earlier also I said work-life balance, flexible work hours. As long as he does his job, that's it. Yeah. So I've come to the end of the presentation. All right. So thank you for your time. I'm going to start a small WhatsApp group called MSME Essentials. That is tips like this maybe once in 2 weeks, definitely once a month. I want to conduct a Zoom call like this. So you can send me, through Ramesh, what I will do is I will give my email ID, I will give my WhatsApp number. You kindly give me suggestions, what topics I should make a presentation so that I can help you become entrepreneurs or I can help you become business people. So that's why the first topic I had is small business essentials. And these slides, everything, I will share with Ramesh. And Ramesh, I request you to kindly give it to whoever wants. Ramesh, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I will do so.
Yeah, so now we have some 5 minutes more. You can kindly give any feedback if you want about
Yeah, this
what I said.
yes, sir. This one is very good. I think if you can give more detail about the business oriented, how to approach the business and other things, be more appreciated
Okay,
in
no
future.
problem. Yeah, yeah. So what I'll do is I'll share my. I'll ask Ramesh to kindly get your numbers and perhaps your email ID also, and then I'll form a group, and then there you can come and you can give a specific topic. For you're saying how to approach a client, I can make a small presentation. I can give you 7 points and say, okay, when you approach a person for a business, these are the 7 points that you need to look at. So you can give me topics. I'm not an expert on any big things, but I know a little bit because I've run some teams and things like that before. So whatever I know, I will share with you. Definitely minimum once a month, I will give you these free inputs. If possible, I will try making it once in 2 weeks. And I can make it in a better timing also. This is because it's the first meeting I made it Saturday morning. I can make it at 9 o'clock in the night when most of you are free and things like that, and we can have a half an hour meeting. So all those things you all can, for all those things.
Yes, exactly.
You all can, the timing also will be more flexible and more conducive. And it's just only half an hour. I'll give you the input, and then at the end of the meeting, I'll share the slide. Yeah, any other feedback? Any other feedback from people?
Sir, it's good, sir.
What is the topic that you want me to speak about next time? So Ramesh has already put my email and
Yes, sir.
WhatsApp number. Yeah, so if you don't mind, you all can just kindly send your number to my WhatsApp and just say, hi, I am Uday. Hi, I am Srinivas. Hi, I am John. And then I'll form a group. The group name of the group on the WhatsApp will be MSME Tips. Okay, I'll form the group with all of you. And then I will broadcast into the group, and then I will take feedback. And then after some time, I'll also give you my social media links, and there you can post on my page. Yes?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
What
Sure,
else?
sir.
Yeah. What else? What else? What else? What else? What else? What else? What else do you think? Okay, so gentlemen, I said I'll take only 30 minutes. I think I've taken 43 minutes. I thank you for your time. I thank you for joining for this. I will send all these slides to Ramesh. Ramesh, I request you to kindly send, or you all can send a mail to me and I will send it directly back to you. There's 5 sets. I will send a PowerPoint presentation to you. You all can use it for your own business, or if you want to set up a unit in future, maybe this will help you, right? So thank you, Uday. Thank you, Ramesh. Thank you, Elangeline. Thank you, Srinivas.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Rajesh, Raj,
Thank you, sir.
Rajesh,
Thank you.
thank you for your
Thank you.
time.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Bye.
sir.
Bye. Good day. Bye. Good day.
Bye.
Okay, sir.
Bye.
Thank
Good day.
Ramesh, sir, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much.